Everybody. Recording in progress. Hi, friends. How's it going? If you're comfortable and decent, please feel free to turn on your camera. I don't like talking to myself. I mean, I do, but hey, Arlene, how you doing?
Not bad for an old broad. How about you?
Hey, you know what? Hanging in there. I'm doing great, actually. It's beautiful here in Colorado right now. It's like the best fall we've had in forever. Hi, Jenny. Hi,
Hi,
Gail.
Katie.
Hey,
Hi.
Owen.
Good.
How are you? Jenny, where do you live?
Minnesota.
That's right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yay!
We're having a beautiful fall. Yeah, we're having a beautiful fall season as well.
Oh, amazing. Very good. Yeah, it gets colder there than it does here, I think. But how's Claire?
She's doing well. Yeah.
Oh, I need to call her. I'm so happy you're here. So good. Ooh,
Yeah.
Sean looks like a vampire over there. It's so dark. Oh, awesome.
Get a little light, but not
Ooh,
much.
it's all right. It's October. Spooky is appropriate.
Season.
Oh, very good. Well, I just want to give others a minute or two to join. But Gail, where are you calling in from?
Minneapolis.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, okay. We got a couple Minnesota friends here. That's awesome. Where do you live again, Arlene? I've asked you before, but I forgot.
British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, fantastic. Nice.
Little bit up from you.
A little bit up. Yeah, that's true. What time zone are you in?
Pacific.
Oh, okay. So it's 4 o'clock for you then.
4 o'clock, yeah.
Nice.
Better than the 8 a.m. ones you used to have.
I know. Well, I don't like that. There was a while I was trying to cater to making sure anybody, whether they're in Europe or not, could also come. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not. I'm so much better in the evenings. So I just, you win some, you lose some sometimes, I guess.
There's not enough coffee for 8 a.m.
Yeah, no. I mean, I can fake it, I guess, but
Yeah.
we see. I like to kind of switch it up and see how many, but usually there's around the same amount of people, whether it doesn't really matter what time it is, but a lot of times it's different people, but it's kind of between 10 and 15 is sort of the number, the magic number, I guess. It's fine with me. Okay, so Lily says Lily's in Taiwan. Okay, see, so it's good for that. Yay, hi Lily. It's 7 a.m. for you. Do you drink coffee?
Hi.
Amazing.
No, haven't. I just woke up.
Oh, well, welcome.
I put an alarm on it.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, I'm
Lily, were you just on the solo of the month Zoom at midnight your time, this morning?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, what a trooper.
That's real dedication.
5 hours or 6 hours. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're all here. So guys, this is crazy because we are about to approach the final week of the Baume Caprices, which I'm sure many of us are just so sad about. Not sad.
At least Boehm didn't finish it off with some 6-page monstrosity.
Yeah, it's not the Cargaler like a Chacon, Yeah, actually the last two are really nice. Like a little G major, E minor to wrap it up. I like the books like the Boehm that go through the key signatures in order like this. I think that's actually a really cool part of the Baume Caprices. But so today I always have a tiny bit of an agenda, but like to just let things go the way they're going to go. I'm assuming everyone here is a member of Etude of the Week and knows what it is. If you are not and you'd like a little bit of a, just a quick update on what we're doing in Etude of the Week, please feel free to say so in the chat. Oh, yay, Jenny! Perfect. I love
You
it.
should
So,
probably do a mini spiel anyway, because I
yeah,
know these end up on YouTube and someone
exactly.
might stumble across it.
Thank you, Sean. You know, I am never opposed to doing a spiel. I'm a spiel master. um, so, for those who don't know, Etude of the Week is a group on Facebook that I started in 2015. It's existed forever, but it's become such a wonderful, beautiful community of flutists from all over the world, all different ages, all different levels, all coming together to learn etudes together. And it's just so beautiful because it's something where, we can really approach etudes from a genuine place of where you're coming from honestly. The openness and the supportiveness and the kindness and all of these things exist really genuinely. So it's a place that you can come and play. And I don't want to say not be afraid, because the fear is real. We all face it all of the time. This fear of judgment and fear of failure, and these really deep fears of putting yourself out there, especially when it comes to playing this weird thing. It's scary. So Etude of the Week has become a place where we can work through those sort of fears together. It's a place to really explore, what your personal goals are, what your purpose is, and have some genuine support from the community. It's the best. I'm so proud of it, even though it evolved, on its own in a lot of ways, but it's really cool. So right now we've been doing these Bohm Caprices. Let me share my screen and bring it up here so you can all kind of see. We've been working on these 24 Caprices for the last 23 weeks, 23 and a half weeks, 23 and 3/4 weeks. And we are moving on to number 24 on Monday. So it's kind of a big deal when we get through a whole book. 24 weeks is a long time. 6 months? I can do math. I literally had to count that out in my head. Don't judge me, please. Yeah, we go through one book for 6 months. It's a lot. And I did a little live stream on Etude of the Week earlier. By the way, if you're not a member and you'd like to be, just go to Facebook, search for Etude of the Week. It pops up pretty quick. It's pretty easy to find. I did a live stream on there earlier today just to kind of show up, because I haven't really been active, like showing up in Etude of the Week for the last probably 4 or 5 months, because life happens and that's the way it is. But I'm back now and we're doing this, so it's wonderful. So just a quick update before we get into the Bohm. We will be doing this last week. This is a perfect time to join, actually, because we've got one more week of Bohm, and then we're going to do some free-for-all weeks, which are my favorite. People can post any etude that you like. It can be something that's like a personal goal for you that you'd like to try to work on. Last time we did this, we had a lot of people doing the Anderson Opus 15 number 3. It's a beautiful one. Something that you like, something that you're working on, something that you've done in the past, whatever. I have in the past made it so that you can literally post anything, like solos, excerpts, etudes, whatever. This week I'm gonna keep it capped on just etudes, but it can be any etude that you want. So we'll do that starting October 30th, and I'll do a post about this. And then if anyone has opinions about this is a good place to share it, since there's fewer of us here. I'm really thinking it's going to be best to wait to start a full book until January 1st, because I feel like holiday times and just like getting through, especially after doing all of these really intense Bohm Caprices, I feel like it would be kind of a lot. It would be a lot for me anyway, to just like jump into a book right away. So I have some ideas about having a few guests maybe come in for just a week or two, or we can do some little themed weeks. Or my friend Brooke Ferguson, who plays principal here in Colorado in the orchestra, she she thought it might be a good idea to take like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of the books that we'll be voting on and just play one of the etudes from each book. So that way when we go vote, we'll have an actual idea of what it's going to be like, instead of just like, oh, I've heard of that guy, let's just vote for that. You know, an etude debate, if you will. So those are ideas. If anybody has any thoughts about things that you'd really love to see in the group, or any creative ideas of what we can do for the rest of 2023, then please feel free. I'll put my email in the chat here. I'm always open to suggestions. So, okay, let's play some Bohm. So usually in these classes, first of all, thank you to Flute World for putting these on. It's just wonderful that they provide these free classes for the community. I think it's really, really amazing. Like, says a lot about them as a company. But let's, usually when we do this kind of class, the Etude of the Week class, it's sort of masterclass style. So people volunteer to play. And I put it out there that we can do any of the Bohm caprices. It does not have to be number 23 or 24. I did not get the list of who signed up to play this time. Usually they send it to me in advance. This time I'm winging it. So, does anybody have a desire to play? There's no pressure. If you don't, it's totally fine. I have plenty of stuff I can talk about if nobody wants to play. But if you would like to, go ahead and just put your hand up in the chat, or yell at me. Everybody's welcome to speak. And we can do that. But otherwise, I think it would be wonderful just to kind of skim through the whole book and take a look at each etude. And, you know, to me, one of the wonderful things about learning etudes is trying to discover what problems you're trying to solve in each etude. Each of them usually has one, for sure, problem that is like, okay, we're working on octaves today. We're working on low register articulation. We're working on dynamic contrast, you know, whatever it is. That's the beauty of etudes, is that it helps us to have smaller goals that are more achievable. So that way, when you're practicing, you have something a lot more specific to focus on, which is so much more productive than just showing up and being like, cool, I guess I'm going to learn Prokofiev Sonata. Where do I start? You know? So I'd love to do just a little bit of work through the book together, and as a group talk about, when you look at the etude, what do you see as a potential problem to be solved in your playing? Sound good? That being said, please interrupt me at any time if I come up to an etude and you're like, ooh, I really want to play that. Anybody's welcome to play at any time. Okay, so, hi Nick, I see you're hiding there. I love you. For those of you who don't know Nick Fitton, he's one of my favorite humans in the whole wide world, and one of the best flutists and piccoloists that I know as well. He's wonderful. I love you, Nick. Okay, so here we go. And Jenny's daughter, Claire, and I went to the same college. And Claire is also one of the best flutists that I know. She's amazing, incredible, so expressive, and so wonderful. And I got to meet Jenny at NFA this summer, and it made me so happy. Okay, here we go. 24 Caprices for Flute by Theobald Bohm. Who knows about this dude, Bohm? Sean, I know you know.
Oh yeah, important dude.
You want to just give us like a 2-minute infomercial about why Bohm is really cool for those of us who maybe don't know about him.
Okay, so Bohm was a flutist, and you know, he was disappointed in how he was received when he went on tour, because he was going up against this other guy who had really big hands. So he had cut the tone holes really large on his flute and cut a really big embouchure hole. So he's like, he went back and just went to his workshop. He was also a tinker, engineer, and through many years of innovation, invented the flute we play today. So that started, I think his first model was what, 1837? So it
I'm gonna
evolved
go
a
with
bit.
that. That sounds right.
So it evolved a bit. So this flute we play is only what, 150 years old or so. Not
Yeah,
quite 200 yet. So we'll
yeah,
get there.
we'll get there.
But
We're getting closer.
so the caprices were kind of his instruction manual for the flute, this
Yep.
flute that he had invented, because the fingering system was different. So
Amazing.
if you
Thank you,
wanted
Sean.
to learn how to play his flute, this was
This
a
is
good
what you do.
study to start.
Yeah. So that being said, of course, if you play through all of these etudes, which I did not, I think I played like 2 of them this round. I played them in the past, but the more of these etudes you can do, it's inevitable that they'll make you better, right? The guy who literally invented the modern flute is the one who wrote these. So, like, come on. They're amazing. They're not easy, but that's how we get better, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Isn't that what they say? Um, oh. Nick says, I'll turn my camera on in a little bit. Ha ha ha. Okay. You can if you want, Nick. No pressure. But he said, etudes are our vitamins, which I love. Totally. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just going to kind of start from the beginning. We'll see how far we get in this hour. If we decide to go a little longer, we can too. But let's go. So anybody feel free to speak up as you see these etudes. I know, like, look at all the black on the page. Woo! So number 1, I love this one. So at Galway's master classes, we did this one almost every morning. We would do Moïse, we would do Taffnel and Gobert, and we would do some Baume Caprices. It was like our daily sort of warm-up. Yeah, when you look at this, what are some things that you just notice right away before you even start playing? There's a lot of notes. That's one thing, right? What else?
Vivace.
Yes, exactly, Gail. It's fast. There's a lot of notes and it's fast, right? So usually those 2 things are enough to make somebody be like, nope, no thank you. This looks way too hard. It's too many notes. It's fast. We start on a low C. Like, come on, man. It's pretty rude, actually, for him to make us start the first etude at Vivace on a low C, right? So what a beautiful first problem to solve. How do I get a low C to come out right away as a 16th note in a Vivace tempo? It's a wonderful thing to work on. What's the answer? I don't know. But, so maybe you start learning this etude and you just kind of mess around with low Cs for a minute. I actually love, this is why the Moïse de la Sonorité is so wonderful. Because when you start higher and work your way down, it makes it so much less dramatic to just go like, oh. But instead, as we go, I'm going to fast forward. You know the exercise. If you don't, let me know. I think I promised a lot of you I'd send it to you last time, and then I didn't check my emails. So if you want the Moïse exercises, email me this time. I promise I'll actually respond. We go all the way down. That's an important one, D to C sharp. Anyway, okay, so now we're going to get down to kind of starting around G, I think is a really good place to start here. Because anytime we have a note that's like a little scary, like a low C or a high F sharp, who loves that note the most? If you say you do, then you're either a liar or a masochist. I don't know. But, these notes that kind of give us a little bit of anxiety, what happens to your body when you're a little bit afraid of a note? Yeah, exactly, Jenny. Yeah, we tense up, right? And if you play with this tension here, tension is a little bit of a sketchy word because we always have to have tension somewhere. We have to have resistance or nothing happens. You can't just like, you know, but it's the amount and how it's used, right? I just did Erica Boysen, if you haven't heard of her, she teaches in North Carolina, Greensboro. She's incredible. Look her up. She taught a master class at the Colorado Flute Day on Saturday, and we talked so much about the difference between the quantity of air and the velocity of air, right? How fast is it going versus how much are you using? And to have this idea of in the low register, it's a lot more quantity, but not as much velocity. So we have to think about where does the velocity come from, right? Where are those tension points? And there are multiple. One of them is our little, you know, very clear, the aperture of our lips. If it's too small, the air is moving too fast, and you're gonna just be getting harmonics. Right? But same alternate for the high register. If it's too big for the high register, you're gonna get, right? So there's also points here in your vocal cords. So how you use the inside of your mouth and your throat matters. And also in our abs, in our support system, right? So all of these are things to kind of check in with. When it comes to getting a low C out, think about what needs to happen with the quantity and the velocity for it to come out. I want to be very open. It's also wonderful to think about what vowel sound you are making inside of your mouth. I really think flutists are so much more similar to singers than we are to any other instrumentalist, right? So it's more of an aw, right? Versus e, or even ooh. Ooh is nice for the middle register, like middle E's and stuff. But the key here is experimentation. You know, I think we have this culture. Boehm invented this flute and it was very serious, and we've been taught how to use it for years and years and years, almost 200 years. And, you know, it's like, okay, you better practice this and this and this and this. But we lose track of our just kind of ability to mess around and figure it out, right? So I think the best part of practicing is you have to listen, just listen and feel. Be in touch with how it feels, listen to how it sounds, and make adjustments. All of the adjustments are so small, right? You could have a teacher that says, aim your air 45 degrees down, have your teeth this many centimeters apart, make sure that your tongue is in this place, and breathe from here, and think about, who cares? It's not gonna matter, you know? So we find the C, think about the vowel, and once you find it, if you have your flutes, by the way, feel free to play along, just mute yourself. Once you find it, remember what it feels like. Right? Then, it's easy. And everyone's laughing like, yeah, right. But really it is. I think that we make things so much harder than they actually are because we have to force it. You're like, I want it to come out so bad. But really, you don't have to have a ton of air for low C. It's you know? So anyway, I could spend 8 years on number one because I love this one's my favorite, but I want to say one more thing and then we'll go to the next unless anyone has any comments. The other thing about this is when you see vivace, there is one way to practice that, which is you turn your metronome on slow enough that it works. You bump it up 2 clicks once you get it right, and you go on and on and on until 10 years later, you've finally gotten through the whole thing and you've gotten it up to tempo, right? Which honestly is not wrong. Like that is a way to learn. With an etude like this, where we have this middle part that is repetitive, right? Oftentimes in a lot of etudes, we have a melody and we also have a harmony. So if you can see that there's a melody that's a little bit separate from the harmony, there's other ways you can practice this that are a little more efficient, I think. It's the same with this one. The Anderson one. Same kind of concept, right? So the first note of every group of 6 is the important note here, pretty much. It's pretty straightforward. It kind of gets a little bit wonky when you get down to some different arpeggios, but we'll just go with that for now. So we have so on and so forth. So by playing that first note and giving it a little bit more length and time, and then you play the other little doodle-doodle-loos as fast as you can. Give them very little energy, very little attention. Now you're already teaching your fingers to play fast. And maybe you come across one doodle-doodle-loo that's harder than the rest. You spend a little more time practicing it slowly and getting it. Like this one is harder, right? You know, mess around with it. Then, eventually, now that since you've been practicing all of this, you can kind of put them together. Oops. Whatever. It's beautiful. And then it's more musical that way. So it's not always about the metronome practice, right? Sometimes. Okay, any thoughts or questions about number 1? It's awesome. Do it. Also, you don't have to play it. You don't have to play it vivace. It's still beautiful if you do this. So nice. It's like just such a sweet little melody. That's what I love about etudes also, is that sometimes they sound beautiful and then it makes it that much more motivating to actually want to practice them. Okay. We are not going to keep on with that. That's, keeps going. Let's take a look at number 2. All right, let me change my screen here so we can kind of see the whole thing. Ooh! Got purple. Okay. View. 2 pages. All right. What do you see about this one? Who notices anything about it? No wrong answers. I'm gonna not speak for like 30 seconds and let the awkward silence just sit and see who wants to say something. Anything different about this one than the last one? Let's go to the last one.
We're in relative minor and we're in different.
Hey, nice, Sean. Yes. I mentioned this sort of at the beginning of the class. I love that we go through the key signatures in a way that is clear.
Rational. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes they just do whatever they want to. But in this case, yeah, we have C major to start with. The next one is the relative minor. That's really good. Yes. We got all the G sharps in there for our harmonic minor friends. Yeah. Very good. Cool. What else? All right. Well, speak up whenever you want to. No pressure. I love to talk, so it's fine. We have accented notes here, right? Even though in this last one, we have a very clear harmony and melody, and we have some little staccato notes here, which is fine, a little separation. Oh, and we've got some accents down here, but this is because he's doing a little hemiola, baby. He's messing with the rhythm down here, so that's why he does the accents there. But here, we have a staccato accented note, which is a totally different thing. So you can really play with how are you making a difference in articulation with these. It's a really good one. Let me play a little bit of it. So, again, find my E. So the first E I tried to play didn't come out at all because I was aiming too far down. Sometimes the air, I just miss the riser like completely. It's just like, nope, that's not where your air goes. So I have to, not try to compensate so much. So I love this because the second measure is not accented. So it's like, it's such a cool effect. Oh. This third measure is wonderful for this E major arpeggio. Because how many of you like E's the best? The answer is no one.
Especially the middle register E. That's like
the middle register
two
E is
note
worse
right
than the high one, I think. It's awful. Like, so to have this octave E here, the chances that you're gonna crack that middle E is probably like 89.8%. Just make up percentages, but it's real high. Okay. So this is again a practice of where does my middle E sit? And what am I physically doing? What does it feel like? What vowel sound are you making? For me, it's a little bit more of an ooh. Ooh. So it's not quite as wide, helps the air move forward. But there's a very fine line between not enough velocity and too much velocity for the middle E. You have to be it's like a super sensitive. I have this plant up here that's called a sensitive plant. And literally, if I don't spritz it every single day, it's like I'm dead now. So I feel like that's kind of the middle E's. You have to give it a little bit of spritzing every day or they'll die. So this is a beautiful thing to practice. Now the high E is another one that gives us a lot of trouble, right? Too much of that E inside of your mouth will make it really sharp and shrill, but not fast enough air. It's not going to come out at all. So again, there's a balance there that you have to experiment with. Really wonderful way to practice high E's is by using harmonics. So the low C, if you've never practiced harmonics before, if you finger a low C and go up, there's a great harmonic exercise that I'll maybe get into, but maybe not. Anyway. Right, so if you finger the low C and get the E out, it's a beautiful representation of the exact velocity that your air needs to be for the E to come out when you finger it normally. So if you're having issues with it, instead of fingering the high E, you can just finger a low C. Right, it's not really actually in the key signature of that, but it's fine. Yeah. Woohoo. So that's a challenge. Let's keep
if your
going.
flute likes to crack up, then lift the pinky.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Playing in orchestras, I've rarely played next to a flute player that ever puts their pinky down for high E, ever. If you play high E and lift your pinky up, it helps keep the pitch down. It also makes it a little more stable because you have one more closed key here. So that's
it's virtually impossible to crack it to high A if you have the pinky.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's a great way to do it. Yep. Cool. Okay, let's keep going. Cute. No, keep going. Hold on. Haha. It's really sweet, actually. This is a really, really fun one. Something that I said I would talk about on my live stream earlier today and do want to talk about is the process of planning your breathing. Because I think that planning your breaths is probably one of the most important things to do really early on in your learning process when you're learning an etude. With the acknowledgement that things will get faster as you go, it'll get easier to breathe. You might not have to take as many. But to start to, usually when I learn an etude, I start by just kind of reading through it. I'll make a bunch of mistakes. I'll, be super, super nice to myself. Like, this is probably going to be rough, but let's just get an idea of what I'm about to, try to figure out. Then I'll go through and do things in little chunks based on the phrases, right? So this one's pretty clear because we have the eighth notes at the, I'm not even going to play it. We have the eighth notes at the end of every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars. So you can pretty much say, at least in this first, half of the first page. Yeah, well, continue. Then you have a quarter note C down there. You've got quarter notes. So really the breathing in this one is pretty clear. It's not that way for most of them. That is not the case for this one. All right? Nope. So be thoughtful about the phrasing and where it might make sense to take breaths. This is why I love using my iPad to do things, because it's so easy to change stuff. Like, I will write in breaths and be really strict about it as I'm starting to learn something. But then I'm like, actually though, maybe the phrase goes to here instead of here. And I'm gonna erase that breath and put it in a different place. Nothing is set in stone. You can always change them, but try always to be intentional about taking breaths. And don't be afraid to take more breaths than you think you need to. Breathe more often. There's no shame in that. Okay, let's keep going. Number 3. All right, what do we have here? What's one thing that looks like it might be a challenge in this? I always have the answers, but no, that's not true. So I will say this is really great for isolating different, the right hand and the left hand. F major is a really good key for this. So like the first bar, it's straight up just right hand stuff. The next bar is left hand. So it's left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. Just in that first 2 measures. You could literally just practice the first 2 measures of this etude and it would be super helpful.
This would have been much harder on Bowen's flute.
Yes.
He didn't have a thumb B flat.
Oh, so he's having to do the... No, I'm not even... No.
Yeah, no.
No.
And open G sharp too, so the G's would have
Oh
been
my
different.
gosh, yeah. There are many amazing, incredible flutists and teachers that will say, in exercises like this, practice using your long B flat. If you want to do that, you just go right ahead. You overachiever, you. No, just kidding. But the thumb B flat's more comfortable for me, I'm always going to use it. But it doesn't hurt to train this finger to do it, you know, but no, it's terrible. Yay, so much better. Let's keep going a little bit. Okay, now we have both hands together. So you start with the right hand, then you do the left hand. Now we have D's in this third measure, so it's both hands. So I really think this is a super technical. This is just really about, are you playing evenly? Allegro moderato, not so fast. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, you know how I said metronome work is not always the answer? In this one, it sure is. Whenever you're working on evenness of the fingers, the metronome is the way to go, for sure. Especially when it's not like a vivace super duper duper fast. So, yeah. Oh, there's Nick. Oh my gosh, Nick, you were hiding from me this whole time. You were down there in the... Hi, I love you. Oh my gosh, Nick said he listened to my orchestral excerpts, and I'm really nervous because they're scary. Okay, number 4. What do we have? What do you notice? Really, one of the hardest parts about this is like figuring out like what's the problem here, or you know, because I really think like having a focus in your practice is it's the most important, most motivating, easiest way for you to really get in your own zone and get all of your voices that are telling you that it's too hard and you're not good enough and you can't do this to just like be quiet because you have a problem to solve. It's a little more scientific, you know. So I, with this one right away, notice, I wish I could make this so I can see all of you instead of just this. Wah, I can't. Oh well, I'll just scroll. Okay. Sorry, I'm very easily distracted. Right away, it's forte. We've got low notes that are loud. What's hard about playing loud low notes? This last one was piano. How nice. So we're kind of evolving dynamically here, right? We're in the low register in the F major. We're still in the low register in the D minor, but now we're playing forte. So you know what we were talking about earlier with the velocity versus speed, right? How do you increase your dynamic? What do you do to play louder? It's not a trick question.
More air in the flute.
That's right. We increase the quantity of air, right? Now, what's the problem when you increase the quantity of air? It also increases the velocity of air, right? So you play with more air, the speed goes up, of course, right? The problem with that in the low register is as the velocity goes up, the direction of the air changes, right? And you're so much more likely to crack and not get that low note out. So we have to be super aware of the tools that we have to help manage the quantity that's coming out, right? I love using a garden hose analogy for like quantity and velocity, right? So if your water pressure is super, super low and you want the water to move faster, you can just like cover up the hole a little bit, right? But let's say your water pressure is super high, you know, and you're trying to water your garden, but it's like going to your neighbor's house or something. You can't turn the pressure down. It is what it is. It's an on-off switch. You know, what do? You need a different hose. Yeah, or get an attachment that widens it, that makes more water come out, you know, of a bigger apparatus, I guess. So we can open the lips for sure, but it's deeper than that. It also comes from lots and lots and lots and lots more space inside your mouth, here, and also what's going on in the rest of your body, right? So that way we can right? But it's got to be, and if you're noticing that you're getting those higher partials out, try some of those things. It's wonderful just to start on a really easy low D. Not too loud, but you can feel your air hitting the riser. Like you can feel your flute vibrating. And that's kind of where you can sort of try to, you know, put on the gas a little bit, more and more and more and more. And as you're doing that, notice what kind of space is happening inside your mouth. How's your posture? Where are you standing? Where is your air being aimed at? It's got to be down in there, you know? So air direction counts too, right? So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to play with here. You know, and there's a lot that goes into playing loud other than just your volume, right? There's what's the quality of your sound when you're playing loud. And different people have different ideas of what's good. I don't think anything is like good or bad. It's just like sounds we make, you know? So we get to choose, which is wonderful. You know, Galway's super known for this like kind of buzzy, brassy low. There's like a real edginess to it, right? Which you can actually play really softly with that edge and it sounds loud. Like I'm actually not playing loud, right? Or you can do the opposite. And to get that edginess, it's a matter of, it's like you blow down. Like you cover up a lot more of this hole. Your air is like at the very bottom point of the riser, right? So you can kind of bite down into it. But then there's another way, which is opposite of that. You know, you can play with less buzz. Right? And try to play loud that way, which also works. It's a different effect. Also, depending on the, you know, these are our fast notes. Vibrato is a huge, huge, huge tool to help with dynamic contrast, right? The speed and the depth of vibrato is like such a wonderful thing to help kind of create the illusion of loud or soft. So those are really fun things to play with too. I love I'm into the sort of edgy, buzzy sound. A lot of people absolutely hate it, which is fine. Like, there's no offense taken here. So yeah. Now, so we start loud and low. And then this next measure, it's kind of mean actually, because then we go in the middle register, which is not at all gonna take the amount of quantity and speed that you have for the lower ones, especially if you're kind of playing with that more edgy sound. If you try to do that for these notes, the E's and the F's, they're just gonna be like, yeah, no, we're not doing that, right? So you have to be aware of, okay, so now what is my middle register? Loud. For me, it's a lot more forward. I'm thinking a little bit more in the front of my mouth versus my throat and my chest for the low notes. It kind of comes a little more like, ooh. But you have to change it so fast. So that's something to practice in this. I think that, change between forte loud, low register, forte loud, middle register. Yeah, that's the ticket. Again, if you only work on the first two measures of this, you have done so much for yourself. Okay, we only have 10 minutes and I'm only to number 4. So let's get a move on, Katie. Jeez. Okay, what about number 5? This is so clear. I saw Arlene Malavit. Yeah, it's trills. There you go. Trills. Yeah, that's that. So cool. Trills. We love a good trill. I did hear though, I played with the Colorado Symphony this last weekend and we had a conductor, Jaime Martin, I don't know how to say his last name. He's a Spanish conductor. Amazing. Such a joy. But he's a flutist, which was so cool to have a conductor as a flutist. And Brooke was talking about his Mozart concerto and she was just like, your trills are amazing. And he was like, that's the one thing that I worked really hard on. And he said, the thing is, you can't play trills too fast. If you play trills at just a nice speed so that you can actually hear what the pitch is supposed to be, that's when it's like the golden trill. Versus I've always been like, look how fast I can play my trills. Whatever. But it's not, that's not the point. So it's so much better to, whatever. I hate this one, so I'm not going to play it right now, but you get the point. Okay, number 6. What about this one?
Articulation.
Hey, Nikki! Gold star for you! Yes, articulation. Yep. That's it. So this is a great one to practice your double tonguing, your triple tonguing. The best way to progress through articulation, in my opinion, is you start with a ha articulation, then you go to single tonguing, then you just do cuz, and then you do tuckas, and then you do katas, and then you can go tuckata, kataka if you want to get into triple stuff. So I would start this by going slowly and doing, oh my gosh. And then my abs are like, ow! It's an ab workout. It's like when your friends make you laugh way too hard and you're like, I actually am sore. It's kind of what this is like. It's and then you add single. Then just cuz. Oh gosh. Right? And then you can do double like this. So you're doing 2 per note. And then you can evolve to taka taka. Right? Yep. Okay. Articulation. Ooh, all right. How about this one? Number
Before we
7.
move on too far, I just want to circle back to
Yes, please. Yeah.
I like the approach you're doing there, starting with the tongueless attack, because if you listen to the start of the notes with that attack style and it cracks or doesn't speak right away,
Yeah.
then you know that either your aim is off or your airspeed is off.
That's exactly right.
Right. So
Yes.
it's a target practice exercise.
Yes.
Once you get
exactly.
that and you add the tongue, then everything is easy and it just pops.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Sean. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that because you're not going to articulate like this. You're not going to ha when you're actually doing it. But those ha's really help make sure that your air stream, your air is moving. Because oftentimes when we use our tongue, it's kind of a cheat to get the air moving, but your air's not actually moving, right? Because
Right. Especially if you do the French tongue where you're like, right?
Right. Like if you were to hold your breath and go, air comes out, but you're not actually blowing out at all. Same if you go,
Yeah,
right?
it kickstarts the airstream.
Right. So by kickstarting that airstream by starting with just the tongue, yeah, a lot of times our air support is not actually behind it.
Right? You
And
can
you wanna-
hide some stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of, we all like to hide behind a shaky vibrato and, you know, using our tongue to make our air move. Another really great way to make sure that your air is moving. A lot of people like feel like they can't do this, but there's two different things. You can flutter tongue through the whole thing. So if you do, right? That your air has to move or it's not going to work. Or you can sing also if you hum, doesn't matter what note. You know, sounds crazy, but that helps you make sure your air is moving. Then when you go do this, whatever the notes are, the tongue is just flapping around in there. If you're using your tongue to get your air to move, it is too heavy and it will not be able to go fast. It just needs to kind of do a little, and the air is moving behind it. And if you have the air, it actually helps it move faster. Just like when you blow in a little fan thing, if you blow fast enough, it moves. I think it's the same with your tongue a little bit. Okay, E flat major. This one's pretty clear too. What do you think? Flexibility. It's about flexibility. So whenever we see these big leaps, that is about what you're doing with your lips, pretty much, right? So this is why they say that the smiling embouchure is not ideal, because when we're smiling like this, our lips are, this is my scary clown face, speaking of Halloween. Our lips are too tight to be able to actually move when they need to. So we want your lower lip to be nice and chill. And the upper lip, this bunny muscle, is really important because it helps you navigate with your lower lip being loose, right? So here we have this. Whoa. So a way to practice this is separate the lines first. I think it's great to do your low notes first and kind of have that idea like this is a little bit of a trampoline thing. Christina Jennings, my teacher, loved using trampolines in our lessons. So you play the first line and play it as beautifully as you can. Really open, nice. There's no dynamic marking here, so just mezzo forte. Just play it nice, you know? You get a sense for that. Then we play the upper line. Don't force the upper line. I think that a lot of times the upper line will just come out. You know, we don't have to push. It's so pretty. And the tongue is just a nice little, we want to keep it super smooth. But again, the first two measures of this, if that's all you practiced, it would be super helpful. Right? Just to get a sense of, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier also with like getting a feel for what does it feel like when I play a really great low E flat arpeggio. Oh, I have a very lot of space. Oh, back here. My tongue's kind of out of the way. I'm really thinking like I'm a Pavarotti or something, you know? And for the upper ones, it's just a little less dramatic. I don't know, like I feel more relaxed. For the lower ones, I'm really opening. For the higher ones, it's just kind of like, I'm chilling. And you use the same speed of air for all of it, right? I think that, man, when Erica said it that way this weekend, it was like, of course, just thinking about the quantity versus the velocity, right? And how those work together. It's really cool to picture that. Okay, number 8, C minor. We're going through the circle of fifths. Yeah, arpeggios, you know. What is that? Also some trills. But I think in general, this is arpeggio, an arpeggio exercise, especially once we get down to that 4th line. I don't know. Okay, so, yep. Okay, now we're zooming through. A flat major, what about this one? There's kind of a combination of things in here. So whenever you have A flat major, also our next wonderful F minor key signature, it's really important to pay attention to the D flat intonation. This is a really good key for noticing where the D flats sit, because usually they're super sharp. You have to do something to make the D flats sound in tune. All right, so if I don't change anything at all, it sounds like this. Right? It's like, oh. So you gotta really think about getting that air down. Right? This would be a wonderful etude to practice with a drone. So I know if anybody has to leave, I know we're over time, but we're in it now. So hold on. I'm going to pull up a drone really quick. So for those of you who have never practiced with a drone, if you just go to YouTube, I'm just going to share my whole screen with you guys. There's nothing weird. It's fine. And type in A flat major drone. And there's tons. Like there's a bunch of different, like look at this one with the nice little mountain background.
Yo y Santos nos conocemos de hace 5 años ya. And he's like, hey, I need to set up a business account. Can you help me out? Francamente, es como un
He needs
amigo.
to set up a
Tengo
business
confianza con
account,
él.
you know
It
where to go.
amazes me
Of
how
course, it's a non-skippable ad.
Nombre
Too, so.
Santos y
I know.
es
Of
gente
course I
del
picked the
barrio
one
Reyes.
that's like, okay. Oh, jeez.
Captain Marvel. We need.
All right, here we go. Oh, this one's a little bit, this gives a very different vibe to this etude, but it's okay. This one's like very dark. Let's try a different one. I'm gonna try this cello one. Hopefully we don't have a bunch more ads. Okay. Oh, better. Okay. Also, when you're practicing intonation, practice it wrong. too, so you can hear both. So if I start on the E flat and purposely, A flat, excuse me, it's super. Oh gosh, I need to stop this. Oh my gosh, where'd it go? Ah! Shut up. Okay. It's really amazing. So good for your ears. Practicing with a tuner is fine, but I think practicing with a drone, because different notes belong in different places depending on what key you're playing in, right? It's not so like, I am playing at 440. A440, whatever. So yeah, it's a fun thing to try. So that would be, I think, great for that one. Okay.
If you have a tuner app on your phone, it probably already has a drone function. It seems pretty common now.
Yes. So on your tuner app, usually they have a drone. It's great to do a fifth. So like you can sustain notes on your tuner, and you would sustain like an A flat and an E flat. That helps because then you can do either major or minor. Okay. Here we have more articulation. More articulation, but it's a low register articulation, right? So you can do the same sorts of things. It's a fun one. I'm only going to play that measure though. Okay. I'm going to kind of keep moving, but as you can see, they all just have something to be done, right? This one, I think breathing, as you can see, I was trying to mark my breaths in this one. So like, breaths. And now we're getting into these key signatures that tend to be tricky for us anyway. So even if your whole purpose is, I'm just trying to play in B minor, the end. That's a fantastic purpose behind what you're doing. Here, yeah, F sharp major. It's lente, it's slow, right? So this is literally play with 6 sharps and don't die. It's gonna be okay. Right? It's fine, and try to make it beautiful. Then we have E flat minor. So a lot of these are literally just that, and they all have a little bit of things. We got trills in that one. 16 I love. This one is scary for a lot of people, but I think it's so pretty. You see, 7 flats and are just like, nope. But if you take your time, it's so good for our brains. Then it changes keys all over. Cool. I'm just going to keep going since we're running out of time. This is also a really good one for fingerwork stuff, since we just have these. There we go. Whatever. That's very clear about just, repetitive little finger motions. So it's good to go through this, find which sections are the least even, and it'll give you a very good diagnosis about which fingers need a little extra love that day. Okay, cool. So blah, blah, blah. Look at all these things. We got more presto stuff. We got more leap stuff. We got, yay! And now we're in this week's Etude, G major. After all of our like 8,000 million, all the flats and sharps, G major is like a, oh, thank you. Thank you. He starts on a nice G2. We're not starting on a low C. We're not starting on a middle E. It's just nice. This one is great because the articulation is on an offbeat, which can be really tricky sometimes to keep things even. We tend to go, right? So this is really just trying to keep things even. Right, that's it. Even airstream. It's really nice though. It's actually a really beautiful one. And then this is our final Etude for next week. We got vivo. We have 3/8, so it's fast. We have a bunch of leaps, but it's still a nice key signature. It's awesome. It's a fun one. Okay, I've gone way too long. You guys are so wonderful. Does anyone have any final thoughts? Oh, what did Nick say? 16 also gives a chance to play the same major key in the second half. Yes. I hope that this has helped at least make it feel like you can approach these, right? I think that when you open a book and you're just like, how many flats? How many notes? How fast is it supposed to be? It starts on what note? Excuse me. Like, just give yourself, you know, the opportunity and the be excited about doing something that's challenging, but also will help you improve so much so quickly, you know. And it's just, I think that they're really fantastic. I mean, no question, if you play through even 1 or 2 of these, that it's going to help you be better. And that's the whole point, right? We're just trying to be better all the time, and it's never over. Just practice our whole lifetime. It's the best. Okay, anybody? Any comments? I'll shut up, I swear. Oh, Mary, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad. Good. And just because we're almost finished with this book in Etude of the Week does not at all mean that you can't, you know, spend some time with this on your own, you know, anytime, whenever. If you record yourself and you want to send it to me, it always makes me happy. So please feel free. And you can still play these over the next, you know, few weeks that we're doing free-for-alls if you want to take a look. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Oh, about drone. A flat accompanied. Yeah, so I don't quite understand what your question is, but for drones, whatever key you're playing in. So with these caprices, it's great because it tells you at the beginning what key you're in, right? So you don't really need to know your key signatures. Ideally, you practice your scales, know your key signatures, but oh, I see, it's drone. Yeah, so you basically just type into YouTube the key. So you would say like C major drone or B flat minor drone, whatever. It's really useful. I like the YouTube ones because they're like, the tuner ones are like, ee! And it's so much better when you're like, oh, I have a nice cello. This isn't like my alarm. Oh God. I'm just trying to make things as pleasant as possible because we have enough suffering to deal with. All right, my friends. My sister's making me a wonderful fall dinner. I have the best roommate ever because she's an amazing chef, so my life is awesome. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Nick, I'm going to call you. after I eat, maybe, or text you, okay? But thanks, everybody. Hope to see you soon. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, everyone.